Damn. How long has it been since I last talked about the anime? Shit. The eponymous Cappies of Cappytown are not the brightest bundle of folks. They're constantly under fire in the community for being uptight, belligerent assholes at almost every waking moment of their lives. And if they're not being blasted for just how mean-spirited they are, especially towards Kirby, they're being blasted for just being so goddamn stupid. And for once, I totally agree. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that one. But just because I agree with everyone giving them shit does not mean that I hate them. Quite the opposite, actually. And it doesn't make me better than the haters either. No, I simply love them in spite of their flaws, and I don't let their insufferable actions bog me down. Most of the time. I could try to sum up my pure and honest view of them, but nothing I can say would come close to being as succinct as this Anon on Tumblr, who sent an ask to the user Lavender Birch Trees, calling Cappytown a village of people pure of heart and dumb of ass. Couldn't have said it better myself. Bravo, Anon. It's important to write characters who suck, but it's even more important to write characters who suck but are otherwise fun and lovable. Mostly for the sake of the viewer's ability to perceive nuance and depth. And especially if the fact that they suck sometimes is a method of social commentary. The Cappies are a massive bundle of that type of character, and it's not just the lovable sides of them that deserve much more recognition than they get, but also the more tragic aspects. Every Cappy has a story to tell. Well, most of them do. And perhaps in that case, it'd be best to start with the ones that don't. Little rapid-fire riffing to start us off. Biblio is the owner of Cappytown's bookstore, and it is comical how little screen time this man gets. Out of all 100 episodes, he only appears in 30 of them. And of those 30 appearances, only 10 of them have any dialogue, most of which is just one line per appearance. He has never once contributed meaningfully to any episode, not even in his starring role in a novel approach. He is only here to engage in bits, fill up the background, and be the victim of a toilet gag that didn't even pass the American censors. If you can believe it. Doron is Cappytown's one and only criminal. He's always being holed up in the police station, only ever spending time outside of it whenever Chief Bookham isn't there, or is otherwise preoccupied. He has no dialogue in the Japanese version and rarely talks in the English version, even during his one significant leading role in The Thing About the Ring. Any time he spends out of jail is spent committing theft. He's still more important than Biblio, though, at a whopping 9 extra appearances. Wow, staggering numbers here. While not a Cappy, Dr. Yabui is a central figure in town who largely gets lumped into the Cappy group by proxy, similar to Chef Kawasaki. The reason why he isn't a Cappy is never addressed, but let's be real, he's one of them by heart. Yabui would be the only doctor in town if Escargoon didn't have a doctorate of his own, but Yabui is the only operating doctor. Escargoon's doctorate is probably in law or something. Almost every single role that Yabui undertakes, no matter how big, is inside his clinic, not counting his appearances in the finale. They range from minor infractions to full-body fractures, from hay fever to morbid obesity. And for most of his minor cases, he frequently gives really bad suggestions, like telling his patients to avoid pollen by not breathing. He's a certified quack. Literally, that's what his name means in Japan, based on the term Yabuisha, which literally translates to bush doctor, but is colloquially used to refer to bad doctors or quacks. Part of this quack designation includes his tendency to break the lesser-known clauses of the Hippocratic Oath. Do no harm, sure, but also don't leak the personal information of your patients. Yabui has no concept of confidentiality and often points out personal traits he's noticed in his patients, whether as part of a diagnosis or not.
The doctor told me it's too salty.
You're too salty too, Curio.
He will say it to your face. He does not care. He will be blunt, he will be accurate, and there is not a damn thing that can be done about it once it's said. Despite these blatant violations of privacy and dignity, however, Yabui remains a strictly professional man and has no significant relationship ties with any other member of town. That doesn't stop him from appearing in crowds, though, which makes up for the bulk of his time spent in a tertiary role. He's a curious man. Yabui's leading role is much less personal than that of any other resident of Cappies Town, it being the episode that begs you to practice good dental hygiene. It has nothing to do with Yabui as a person, and merely uses his profession as a scare tactic, frequently combined with horror-adjacent close-ups, torture devices, and long, drawn-out screams. As such, there's never a moment when Yabui has his time in the limelight. Always a vehicle, never the driver, never in the view of the headlights.
Man, turn that off. Put on the next track. Check it out, because it goes a little something like this.
The last ones that I'll put in this small starting category are the three Cappy kids. Talking about them is difficult, not because of information scarcity or ambiguous writing, but because the dub changed how these characters were named, and not in a good way either. Their original Japanese names, Airo, Hani, and Hohe, are a play on the first 6 characters, or mora, of the Japanese poem Iroha, which has been used to order kana characters in the same way we order the Latin alphabet through song. And in a similar vein, the Iroha is also used to identify notes in a musical scale. But in the dub, this wasn't localized properly. Shocker, I know. Ideally, the kids might have either been named something like Abby, Cody, and Jeff, as in A, B, C, D, and E, F, or to fit with the musical context, something closer to Dori, Miva, and Sela, as in Do, Re, Mi, Fa, and Sola, as a way to carry over the pun. But instead of anything clever or funny, what actually happened, well, it'd be better to just show you. Hohe, the third in the original linguistic lineup, became Iro. It's not spelled the same way as the actual Iro, being spelled with 2 O's to stress the length of the syllable, but the pronunciation is similar. The Japanese Iro then had his name changed to Spikehead, a complete non sequitur nickname based solely on his appearance, which, granted, does happen a lot, but now the previous naming convention is completely erased. Hani's name was basically unchanged, now spelled and pronounced like the food honey. I couldn't tell you why this swap was done, and I don't want to assume carelessness or ignorance, though I am not ruling it out. Now, just so we're all on the same page here, I'll be referring to these 3 by their American names, as that's what I'm most familiar with. So, anytime I say Iro, I'm talking about the one with the shirt and the sun hat, not Twiggy Pineapple do over there. Iro and Spikehead are similarly mischievous and childish in their temperament, mainly differing in their talking styles. Spikehead is more blunt and direct, while Iro, being the oldest of the 3, is able to put more thought behind his words. Usually, this manifests as Iro being the instigator for most of the misconduct performed by them, and Spikehead telling off anyone who says they're doing something bad. Honey is the shy one, who is a lot less willing to engage in the tomfoolery of her friends, often butting in with a fraught and guilty conscience when she does participate. Despite their differences, the 3 of them remain good friends, and Honey and Spikehead end up developing a small and barely elaborated crush on each other. These kids are most often seen around Tuff and Kirby, and thus, they don't ever become a main focus of any one episode by themselves. The closest they get to a leading role is episode 15, Kirby's Pet Peeve, but even that isn't too significant. Almost all of their relevant moments are a part of something bigger, orchestrated by Tuff. But while they don't have a lot of plot significance that we see in the show, they still serve a very necessary function. A bigger friend group for Kirby. I'll elaborate on this idea further if I ever do an analysis on Kirby himself someday, which I am planning on doing. But how Kirby is treated by people is a two-line graph. Going up and down the y-axis determines whether or not you like Kirby or you hate Kirby, and going from left to right on the x-axis determines whether or not you treat him as a warrior or if you treat him as a baby. You can basically put any character on this graph, including monsters, but the three Cappy kids fill a very important role, being in this top right quadrant here. It's very important, considering Kirby's age, that he has some avenue through which he can have a normal childhood. A normal kid's life, full of friends and fun and formative experiences with people who care about him. That's what the Cappy kids are, and that's why they aren't very active in Kirby's adventures, besides, you know, being young kids themselves. Helping Kirby fight monsters isn't something they want to spend their time doing with him. So a lot of the screen time they would get would be in a filler episode, where we just get to see these characters existing without any threat of a monster. But Right Back Atcha is formatted as a Monster of the Week show, and that format knows no concept of a filler episode. Even with episodes that would be filler episodes normally, the writers find a way to shoehorn in a monster, even if that monster just ends up being King Dedede. So, the Cappy kids go mostly unrecognized by the camera, but their efforts aren't in vain. After all, the time difference between episode 1 and episode 51 is exactly 1 year, meaning that only 14% of the entire year is plagued by monster attacks and corruption. A lot is happening behind the scenes that we aren't privy to, and most of the time, Kirby is out having fun with these guys. So thank them. Thank them for keeping our hero happy and healthy.